Most Mr. Olympia titles, Ronnie Coleman. On the surface, 8 wins doesn't sound impossible. The competition happens every year. Do it long enough, stay healthy, and someone should match it, right? Wrong. Ronnie didn't just win 8, he bulldozed through an era stacked with killers. Flex Wheeler, Kevin Levrone, Sean Ray, legends. And Ronnie crushed them like warm-ups. Phil Heath tried, he stalled at 7. Big Ramy didn't come close. Why? Because your body doesn't survive that long at that level. Ronnie's back alone looked like a bookshelf stacked with bricks. To break this record, someone would need genetics of a Greek god, pain tolerance of a cyborg, and the luck of never missing a beat for nearly a decade. That's not happening. Most consecutive Olympia wins, 8 again. Lee Haney first, Ronnie matched it. That's nearly a full decade of being untouchable. Think about it. Every single year. New challengers, new physiques, new hype, and yet the throne never moved. Today's bodybuilding scene is too unpredictable. Judges shift tastes, physiques change, health collapses, and one off year ruins the streak. Nobody's running the table for 8 years straight again. Haney and Coleman turned consistency into immortality. Biggest stage weight ever, 300 plus pounds. Ronnie Coleman. Yes, other guys bulk heavier in the offseason, but stepping on stage peeled, veiny, shredded at nearly 300, only Ronnie. Most bodybuilders look like tanks in prep, but shrink down come contest day. Ronnie stayed a tank. His legs looked forged in a factory. His traps reached his ears. And the scary part, he was still conditioned. Nobody's repeating that. Modern physiques are capped by aesthetics, health, and judging criteria. Ronnie broke the scale, and the scale gave up. Smallest waist with the biggest chest, Frank Zane. The chemist walked on stage with a vacuum waist that looked carved by AI and lats wide enough to fly. At his peak, Zane was 185 pounds on paper, but looked like sculpture in motion. No bloated guts, no bubble waist, just art. In today's mass wars, that balance is extinct. No one's bringing back the Zane ratio without rewinding bodybuilding 50 years. Most pro wins, Dexter Jackson. They called him the Blade because he stayed razor sharp for decades. 20 years at the top. While others flamed out, Dexter kept winning. Even when younger guys showed up, he still snatched trophies. To break this, someone would need insane genetics, flawless prep, and a career longer than some marriages. Modern careers don't last that long. Dexter's trophy shelf might as well be a museum. Most muscle mass ever displayed, Greg Kovacs. Off-season, 400 pounds of walking skyscraper. On stage, not the most aesthetic, but nobody ever carried that much raw size. His arms were bigger than legs of normal humans. Sure, modern mass monsters exist. Big Ramy, Marcus Rule, but Kovacs rewrote what huge meant. The human body simply wasn't designed for it. Records like this don't get broken, they get remembered as warnings. Most aesthetically perfect physique. Arguably Sergio Oliva, the myth. His V-taper is still unmatched. Broadest shoulders, smallest waist. Arms like cannons. Photos of Sergio still look photoshopped. And this was before Photoshop. Bodybuilders today chase conditioning, graininess, detail. Sergio had shape, symmetry, and presence you can't build in a gym. You can diet down, add muscle, tweak proportions, but you can't create myth. Most Mr. Universe titles, Arnold Schwarzenegger 4. Sure, Arnold's Olympia wins get all the attention, but 4 universes before he even turned Olympia into his playground? Ridiculous. At 23, Arnold was already the most decorated young bodybuilder ever. No one else built that kind of early dominance. Why? Because now bodybuilding careers peak later. Nutrition, supplements, strategy, it all extends careers. Nobody's stacking that many big amateur to pro titles again before their mid-20s. Most contest appearances, Albert Beckles. Over 100 pro shows. Beckles competed into his 50s like time forgot about him. He was the Benjamin Button of bodybuilding, still shredded when most men are chasing retirement. Today, guys peak for 1 or 2 shows a year. Back then, it was non-stop. Nobody's risking their health or career longevity to match Beckles' marathon. His record isn't just unbreakable, it's inhuman. Most freakish conditioning, Andreas Munzer. The man who turned shredded into something terrifying. His look wasn't just lean, it was inhuman. Veins on veins, striations in muscles people didn't even know existed. Skin so thin it looked like it was painted on. When Munzer stepped on stage, he didn't look like a bodybuilder anymore. He looked like an anatomy chart that had come to life. Every fiber, every groove, every cut was exposed for the world to see. Fans and judges were stunned. His conditioning wasn't just impressive, it was disturbing. While other guys aimed for symmetry or mass, Munzer took detail to an extreme that crossed the line between brilliance and obsession. His physique said one thing loud and clear. This is what it looks like when you chase perfection at any cost. But that cost was devastating. To achieve that level of dryness, Munzer pushed his body past the point of survival. Diuretics, extreme dehydration, endless dieting. His health eventually collapsed under the strain. He became the cautionary tale of bodybuilding. The man who showed the outer limit of conditioning and paid for it with his life. Youngest Mr. Olympia winner, Arnold again 23 years old. Olympia champ while most guys are still figuring out how to pose. the youngest to ever do it, and it's never been matched. Today, bodybuilders peak late 20s or early 30s. Muscle maturity takes time. Careers take years to build. Nobody's walking in at 23 and dethroning veterans. Arnold's record is locked forever in bronze. Most perfect back. Dorian Yates, the shadow. His back wasn't just wide, it was a wall of granite with detail nobody had seen before. He introduced a new standard. You weren't winning without thickness, density, and shadow-like depth. Even today, with all the training science, nobody's brought that same combo. Once Dorian showed up, bodybuilding backshots changed forever. His record isn't in numbers, it's in redefining what's possible. Longest career at the top, Dexter Jackson again spanning decades, competing against 3 different generations of bodybuilders. He faced Ronnie, Phil, Ramy, guys with completely different physiques, and still placed. That's not just a record, it's survival. Most guys burn out, tear muscles, or fade. Dexter built a career like an iron calendar. Breaking this? Not likely. Most photo shoots and pop culture impact, Arnold hands down. Olympia records aside, Arnold's real record is cultural takeover. No one else turned bodybuilding into Hollywood, politics, and global fame. He didn't just win titles, he made bodybuilding mainstream. That record can't be broken because it was never about numbers. It was about timing, charisma, and an empire. Most vascularity ever seen. Paul Dillett. They called him Freakenstein. And the nickname wasn't just for fun. It was because when he stepped on stage, he looked less like a man and more like a science experiment gone wild. His veins weren't normal veins. They weren't little blue lines you see at the gym. They were thick, raised cables running like power lines across mountains of muscle. His forearms looked like road maps. His chest looked like it had wires stitched underneath the skin. Even in a sport filled with freaks, Dillett stood out. Bodybuilders are supposed to shock you with size, symmetry, or conditioning. Paul shocked you just by standing still. The audience would stare, half in awe, half in horror, because his physique looked alien. It wasn't just muscle and skin. It was anatomy pushed to a place the human body was never meant to go. And here's the thing. No one has come close since. Sure, vascular guys exist. Andreas Münzer had paper-thin skin. Branch Warren had roadmap arms. And modern pros like Hadi Choopan can bring freak detail. But Dillett, he was on a different frequency. His vascularity wasn't just visible. It was disturbing. Like he'd stepped out of a comic book panel and onto the stage. In today's bodybuilding, with mass monsters battling gut size and conditioning taking a backseat to size, that level of vascularity is gone. It's not just rare, it's unrepeatable. Dillett's look wasn't just about drugs or dieting. It was genetics, structure, and a kind of freak factor you can't engineer. That's why Paul Dillett's vascularity isn't just remembered, it's mythologized. The day he walked out, bodybuilding fans didn't see a man. They saw Freakenstein, and that vision will probably never be duplicated. Most Olympia runner-up finishes, Flex Wheeler. 4 times runner-up, 0 titles. If bodybuilding had a greatest almost, Flex owns the crown. His physique was breathtaking. Arguably the most aesthetic blend of mass, symmetry, and flow the sport had ever seen. Tiny waist, flaring quads, arms that looked carved out of marble. By every visual standard, he should have been Mr. Olympia. But timing is cruel. Flex competed in the wrong era. He stepped on stage against Dorian Yates in the 90s, the man who redefined density and conditioning. When Dorian retired, Flex ran into an even bigger storm. Ronnie Coleman, the unstoppable mass monster. Flex wasn't beaten because he was flawed. He was beaten because destiny stacked the deck against him. Most iconic pose ever, the vacuum. A pose so simple yet so devastating. Frank Zane, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Serge Nubret, masters of it. They'd stand on stage, chest lifted, waist sucked into nothingness, and suddenly their entire physique looked like it was designed by a sculptor. Wide lats, flaring ribcage, a midsection so tight it disappeared into shadow. It wasn't just a pose, it was a statement. Back then, the vacuum was the ultimate mic drop. You could spend all year building size, density, and cuts, but if your waist blew out on stage, the vacuum exposed you. Zane would hit it and the crowd lost their minds. Arnold used it as part of his trademark flow. Serge Nubret made it look effortless, like breathing art into his body. Most Olympia appearances, Dexter Jackson again, 20 Olympias, that's 2 decades standing under the brightest lights in bodybuilding. Most pros dream of making it to the Olympia stage once. A handful make it back a few times. Dexter, he made it his second home. Think about what that means. 20 years of dieting, cutting, bulking, and posing. 20 years of walking into a lineup where every guy is younger, hungrier, and chasing you. 20 years of staying relevant in a sport that chews people up and spits them out after 5. And here's the kicker. Dexter didn't just show up, he placed. He was dangerous every single time. From the Ronnie Coleman era to Phil Heath's reign, all the way into the Big Ramy years, Dexter was still in the conversation. He wasn't a relic, he was a contender. Longevity in bodybuilding isn't just rare, it's almost impossible. Torn muscles, joint destruction, organ strain, time wins eventually. But Dexter defied time. While others fell to injuries, retirements, or health scares, he kept carving trophies. He kept walking out shredded, sharp, and lethal. That's why this record feels untouchable. In today's bodybuilding, guys aim for one perfect run. Maybe 5, maybe 10 Olympias if everything goes right. But 20? That's a career, a legacy, and a miracle rolled into one. Dexter Jackson didn't just set the record. He stretched the definition of what a bodybuilding career could be. Bodybuilding has stats, numbers, legends. But the truth? Most of these records aren't just physical. They're human limits. From Ronnie's mass to Zane's art. From Dexter's marathon to Arnold's youth. These records aren't just unbreakable. They're untouchable. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, drop a like, hit subscribe, and let's keep talking legends.